Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In our last video, we converted different fractions into different types of decimal expansions. In this one, we'll be doing just the opposite of that, okay? So we'll be converting these decimal expansions into fractions, okay? So it is pretty easy. We just need to know two tricks to convert these decimal expansions into fractions, okay? So let's start with our first question. So to convert this decimal expansion or this decimal number into fraction, the first trick or the first step that you need to do is we are going to assume this 0.6 bar as x, okay? So let x is equal to 0.6 bar. This means this 6 repeats continuously and it never terminates, okay? So it's something like this. Now the next step or a trick is to multiply this x with 10, okay? So how do I know that I have to multiply it with 10, right? So it depends on the number of digits that are repeating, okay? So if 2 digits were repeating, we would multiply it by 100. If 3 digits were repeating, we would multiply it by 1000. For example, in our third question, we have 3 digits repeating. In this particular question, we would multiply this number by 1000, okay? So it depends on how many digits are repeating in a particular question, okay? So in our question, only one digit is repeating, so we are multiplying it by 10, okay? So we have 10x is equal to, so we have 10 times our x is 0.6 bar, which is 0.66666, right? So we can write this as 0.666 and dot, 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 dot. Now, this is going to give us 10 times 0.666 is 6.66 and dot, 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 okay? So what happens when you multiply a particular decimal number by 10 is that point moves backwards, okay? So if there is 1 0, it moves only one step. If there were 2 zeros, it would move 2 steps, okay? In our case, we only have a 1 0, so our point is moving only one times to the right side, and we get our point over here, and our answer becomes 6.66666, okay? Now, after assuming these two things, our next step is very important because this is going to convert our decimal into fraction, okay? And that step is we subtract this 10x and this x, okay? So we are going to subtract 10x minus, we have our x. This is going to be equal to, we know that our 10x is a 6.666 dot, 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 right? So we can write that as 6.66 dot, dot, dot. And minus, we know that our x is 0.66 dot, 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 right? So we have 0.66 dot, 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 okay? Now, when we subtract this 10x and x, we are going to get 9x. Is equal to, when we subtract this 6.66 and 0.66, we are going to get our answer as just a 6, okay? So you can also check this in your rough, okay? So we have our 6.66 dot, 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 minus we have 0.66 dot, 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 dot. When we subtract this, since all these dots are 6, right? When you subtract them, you are going to get zeros. And these are all zeros. We have our point over here. And then when we subtract 6 minus 0, we are going to get 6. So our answer is 6.000, right? Which is 6, okay? So we have our 6.66 dot, dot, dot minus 0.66 dot, dot, dot is 6. Now, when we move that 9 over to that side, we are going to get x is equal to 6 divided by 9. Now, we can cut this with 3, right? 3 times 2 is 6 and 3 times 3 is 9. And so, we get our x as x is equal to 2 divided by 3. Now, remember that x is our 0.6 bar, right? We assume that in the beginning. So, we have our x as 0.6 bar, right? So, we can write our x as 0.6 bar. And therefore, when we write our x as 0.6 bar, we have 0.6 bar equals to 2 divided by 3. And we have converted our decimal expansion into a fraction. And done. That's how you convert a particular decimal number into a fraction. Now let's use the same trick in our second question. So our second question was 0.47. We only have bar in the 7. So again, we are going to use the same process to solve this question. So our first step is assuming this 0.47 bar as our x. So we have our x as 0.47 bar, which is equal to 0.4, and the 7 repeats continuously, okay? So we have our x as 0.47 bar. Our next step is we multiply this x with our 10, okay? So why? Because only one digit is repeating, okay? So we have 10x as equals to 10 times our x is 0.4777, and it goes on and on and on. And then when we multiply a particular number by 10, again the point moves backwards one step. So our answer is going to be 4.777, and it goes on and on and on, okay? So we assumed our 0.47 bar as our x, and then we multiplied it with 10. Now our next step is to subtract this x from our 10x. So we have 10x minus x. This is going to be equal to, our 10x is 4.777. So we have 4.77 minus, we have our x as 0.4777, right? So we have 0.477 . Now when we subtract our 10x and x, we are again going to get 9x, right? And then to subtract this 4.77 minus 0.47, let's see what we are going to get, okay? So we have our 4.777 ... and we have our 0.477 ... So when we subtract this, we are going to get, so these all 7 become 0, right? And when we subtract our 7 and 4, we are going to get 3. We have our point over here, and 4 minus 0 is 4. So we have 4.300 ... Now these zeros are meaningless, so our answer is 4.3, okay? So we have our 4.77 minus 0.477 is 4.3. Now this one looks a little bit different than our first one, right? So we have our 9x over here. We can easily convert this 4.3, which is a terminating decimal expansion, in fraction by dividing that 43 with 10, okay? So 43 divided by 10 is 4.3. What's happening here is when we divide a particular number 43 by 10, we always have a point at the end, and when we have 1 0, that point moves forward, and it's going to move forward 1 times because there is only 1 0, and we're going to get 4.3, okay? So if it was something like 1.73, then we could write this as 173 divided by 100, okay? Because there are 2 numbers after the point, okay? So we have our point over here, it moves 2 times over here, and we get 1.73. So for a terminating decimal expansion, it's pretty simple, okay? You just count the number of digits after this point, and then you put that many zeros in the denominator, and you get your fraction of a terminating decimal expansion, okay? Now that we have converted this decimal number into our fraction, we still need to find the value of x, okay? So we have our 9x as 43 by 10. When we move that 9 over to the right side, it's going to go with the 10, okay? So we have 43 divided by 10 times 9. And so the value of our x is going to be equal to 43 divided by 90. And again, we know that x is our 0.47 bar, okay? So therefore, our 0.47 bar is equal to 43 divided by 90. And that's our second question. Now, let's move to our final question. So we have our final question as 0.001 bar. So again, the process is still the same, okay? So again, we have our let x is equal to 0.001 bar. This is equal to 0.001, 001, 001, and it continues and goes on and on and on, okay? Now, in this particular case, since we have 3 digits that are repeating, we are going to multiply our x with 1000, okay? So we have 1000x is equal to 1000 times our x is 0.001, 001, 001, dot, 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 dot. Now, this is going to give us, since we have 3 zeros here, this point is going to move 3 times to the right side, okay? So 1 times, 2 times, and 3 times. So it's going to get behind this 1. And we are going to get our answer as 1.001, again 001, and dot, 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 okay? So our 1000x is 1.001001, and our x is 0.001001, okay? Now our next step is to subtract this 1000x and x. So we have our 1000x minus our x is going to be equal to our 1000x is this, right? 1.001. So 1.001. Let's make that point a little bit better. And so we have another 001 and dot, 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 minus our x is 0.001, another 001, and it goes on and on. Now, when we subtract this 1000x and x, we are going to get 999x, which is going to be equal to, when you subtract this 1.001001 minus 0.001001, you are going to get 1. So I'm not going to show this subtraction again, okay? So we have already done 2 subtractions above. It's just going to be 1, okay? Now, when you move that 999 to the right side, we are going to get our x is equal to 1 divided by 999. And again, we know our x is 0.001 bar. So we have, therefore, 0.001 bar, which is our x, is equal to 1 divided by 999. And done. We have solved our third question as well. So the trick to solve these kind of questions is not that difficult, right? So first you just assume the given question as x, and then you multiply that x with the number of digits that are repeating in your decimal number. In this case, it was only 1 digit that was repeating, so we multiplied it with 10, right? And then you get a particular answer over here. The next step is you subtract those 2 numbers. So we subtracted our 10x and x over here. And when you do that, you get a terminating decimal number over here, okay? When you subtract these 2 non-terminating decimal expansions, you get a particular decimal expansion which is terminating over here. And then you can easily find the x by moving this particular number to the right side, and you get your fraction over here. And that's it. So if you liked our video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for future maths videos. Thank you.